The Battle of Chi Tunnels in 1969 was a pivotal moment during the Vietnam War, highlighting the strategic importance of the extensive tunnel networks utilized by the Viet Cong. This speech will explore the historical context, tactical significance, and the human experiences surrounding this battle, ultimately illustrating how the Chi tunnels became a symbol of resilience and ingenuity against overwhelming odds. Historical context. Background of the Vietnam War. The Vietnam War, which spanned from the late 1950s to 1975, was marked by intense conflict between North Vietnam, supported by Communist allies, and South Vietnam, backed by the United States and other anti-communist nations. The war was characterized by guerrilla warfare tactics employed by the Viet Cong (VC), who utilized a vast network of tunnels to conduct operations against U.S. forces. Development of the Chi tunnels. The Chi tunnels, located approximately 40 kilometers northwest of Ho Chi Minh City, formerly Saigon, were initially constructed during the First Indochina War against French colonial forces. By the time of the Vietnam War, these tunnels had expanded to over 250 kilometers, serving as supply routes, hiding spots, and operational bases for Viet Cong soldiers. The tunnels included living quarters, medical facilities, and even schools, allowing the VC to maintain a functional society underground while conducting their military operations. The 1969 offensive prelude to the battle. In early 1969, tensions escalated as U.S. forces sought to disrupt Viet Cong activities in and around Chi. The 25th Infantry Division, stationed at Chi Base Camp, faced increasing sabotage and attacks from VC forces who used the tunnels to infiltrate American positions without detection. On February 26, 1969, a coordinated assault was launched by approximately 80 Viet Cong commandos against the base camp, marking a significant confrontation in this ongoing struggle. The attack began in the early hours of February 26. Viet Cong commandos penetrated through 10 layers of barbed wire surrounding the base. They targeted key assets such as Chinook helicopters and ammunition depots, resulting in substantial damage. Reports indicated that 9 helicopters were destroyed, and casualties among American troops included 13 fatalities and over 50 injuries during this 3.5-hour operation. Tactical significance. The success of this attack underscored several tactical lessons. Element of surprise. The ability of VC forces to launch an attack from underground demonstrated their effective use of terrain and concealment. Vulnerability of U.S. forces. Despite being stationed at one of the most fortified bases in Vietnam, U.S. troops were caught off guard due to inadequate intelligence regarding tunnel infiltration capabilities. Psychological impact. The attack not only inflicted physical damage but also had a psychological effect on American troops, instilling fear and uncertainty about their safety. The role of tunnel rats. Introduction to tunnel rats. In response to the challenges posed by the Chi tunnels, U.S. military command developed a specialized group known as the tunnel rats. These soldiers were tasked with entering and clearing tunnels filled with booby traps and enemy combatants using minimal equipment, typically just a flashlight, a handgun, and a knife. 5. Experiences of tunnel rats. The experiences of tunnel rats were harrowing. They faced not only enemy fire but also dangerous conditions within the tunnels themselves. Many reported encounters with snakes, scorpions, and other hazards while navigating through cramped spaces. The toll on morale was significant as these soldiers often operated in isolation without immediate backup. Legacy of tunnel rats. The legacy of tunnel rats is one of bravery and innovation in warfare. Their efforts led to some successes in uncovering tunnel networks and gathering intelligence on Viet Cong operations. However, They also highlighted the limitations of conventional military strategies against unconventional warfare tactics employed by the VC. Aftermath and impact. Long-term consequences. The Battle of Q-Chi tunnels had lasting implications for both sides. For U.S. forces, the attack prompted a re-evaluation of strategies regarding tunnel warfare and led to increased efforts to develop more effective countermeasures. For Viet Cong, the successful infiltration reinforced their operational capabilities and demonstrated their resilience against superior firepower. Cultural significance. The Q-Chi tunnels have since become a symbol of Vietnamese resistance during the war. They represent not only military ingenuity but also the determination of a people fighting for their sovereignty against foreign intervention. Today, they serve as a historical site where visitors can learn about this unique aspect of Vietnam's wartime experience. The Battle of Q-Chi tunnels in 1969 stands as a significant chapter in the Vietnam War, showcasing the ingenuity and resilience of the Viet Cong (VC) in their struggle against American forces. The Q-Chi tunnels, an extensive network of underground passages, served as a strategic asset for the Viet Cong, enabling them to conduct military operations while evading detection. This speech will delve into the key strategies employed by the Viet Cong during this battle, examining their tactical maneuvers, psychological warfare, and the effective use of terrain that contributed to their success. Historical context. Overview of the Vietnam War. The Vietnam War was characterized by a complex interplay of political ideologies, military strategies, and cultural dynamics. Beginning in the late 1950s, the conflict pitted Communist North Vietnam against South Vietnam and its principal ally, the United States. The war was marked by guerrilla warfare tactics employed by the Viet Cong, who relied on their intimate knowledge of the terrain and innovative strategies to counteract superior American military technology. The Q-Chi tunnels. The Q-Chi tunnels, located approximately 40 kilometers northwest of Saigon, now Ho Chi Minh City, were initially constructed during the First Indochina War against French colonial forces. By the time of the Vietnam War, these tunnels had expanded to over 250 kilometers, serving multiple purposes. Hiding spots. They provided concealment for VC fighters during combat. Supply routes. The tunnels facilitated the movement of troops and supplies. Living quarters. They housed medical facilities, storage depots, and even kitchens. These tunnels became a critical component of Viet Cong operations, particularly during major offensives like the Tet Offensive in 1968. Key strategies used by the Viet Cong. 1. Guerrilla warfare tactics. The Viet Cong effectively utilized guerrilla warfare tactics that emphasized mobility, surprise attacks, and localized engagements. Hit-and-run attacks. The VC often launched surprise assaults on American positions and quickly retreated into the safety of their tunnels. This strategy minimized their exposure to direct confrontation with superior U.S. firepower. Ambushes. Utilizing their knowledge of local terrain, VC fighters set ambushes for American patrols and convoys. These ambushes were designed to inflict maximum casualties while allowing VC forces to withdraw before U.S. reinforcements could respond. 2. Effective use of terrain. The extensive tunnel network provided significant advantages. Concealment. The tunnels allowed VC fighters to remain hidden from aerial reconnaissance and ground patrols. Even when U.S. forces occupied areas above ground, they often remained unaware of the vast network beneath them. Control over engagements. By using the tunnels strategically, VC forces could dictate when and where engagements occurred. This control allowed them to exploit weaknesses in American lines and retreat when necessary. 3. Psychological warfare. The psychological impact of tunnel warfare played a crucial role in undermining American morale, fear, and uncertainty. The constant threat posed by hidden tunnels created an atmosphere of fear among U.S. troops. Soldiers faced anxiety about potential ambushes or encounters with booby traps while patrolling areas believed to be secure. Media manipulation. The Viet Cong effectively used propaganda to highlight their successes and portray themselves as resilient fighters against foreign aggression. This narrative resonated both domestically and internationally. 4. Innovative defensive measures. The Viet Cong employed various defensive strategies designed to protect their tunnel systems from American detection and destruction. Booby traps. The tunnels were rigged with numerous traps such as punji stick pits and explosive devices that targeted invading U.S. soldiers. These traps caused significant casualties among American troops attempting to breach tunnel entrances. Trapdoors and air filtration systems. Ingeniously designed trapdoors concealed tunnel entrances, allowing VC fighters to evade detection easily. Air filtration systems ensured that smoke from cooking or other activities did not reveal their locations. 5. Intelligence gathering. The Viet Cong placed great emphasis on intelligence operations. Local support networks. Many civilians supported the VC by providing information about American troop movements and activities. This grassroots intelligence network was vital for planning successful operations. Document recovery. After engagements with U.S. forces, VC fighters would often recover documents left behind by American troops, gaining insights into enemy strategies and plans. The battle dynamics prelude to engagement in early 1969. Tensions escalated as U.S. forces sought to disrupt Viet Cong activities in Cu-Chi. The area had become a stronghold for VC operations due to its extensive tunnel systems. Operation Crimp. In January 1966, Operation Crimp was launched as one of the first major attempts by U.S. forces to uncover these tunnels, despite deploying over 8,000 troops. Operation Crimp failed to achieve its objectives due to underestimating the complexity and extent of the tunnel networks. U.S. forces encountered significant resistance from well-prepared VC fighters who utilized their knowledge of the tunnels to launch counterattacks. Operation Cedar Falls. Following Operation Crimp's failure, General William Westmoreland initiated Operation Cedar Falls in January 1967. This operation involved a larger force, approximately 30,000 troops, and aimed at systematically destroying VC infrastructure in Cu-Chi. Despite initial successes in uncovering some tunnel entrances, U.S. forces faced similar challenges as before due to booby traps and hidden escape routes employed by the VC. The strategies employed by the Viet Cong during the Battle of Cu-Chi tunnels in 1969 exemplify their adaptability and resilience in asymmetric warfare against a technologically superior adversary. Through guerrilla tactics, effective use of terrain, psychological warfare, innovative defenses, and intelligence gathering, they managed to maintain operational effectiveness despite overwhelming odds. As we reflect on this battle's significance within the broader context of the Vietnam War, it becomes clear that understanding these strategies provides valuable insights into not only military history but also human perseverance in times of conflict. The legacy of the Cu-Chi tunnels continues to resonate today as a testament to ingenuity in warfare and a symbol of resistance against foreign domination. The Cu-Chi Base Camp, located approximately 40 kilometers northwest of Saigon, was a critical stronghold for the United States during the Vietnam War. On February 26, 1969, it came under a surprise attack by Viet Cong (VC) forces, resulting in significant damage and casualties. This speech will explore the U.S. military's response to the attacks on Q-Chi, detailing the immediate actions taken, strategic adjustments made in the aftermath, and the broader implications for U.S. military operations in Vietnam. Background of the Q-Chi Base Camp. Importance of Q-Chi. The Q-Chi Base Camp served as the headquarters for the 25th Infantry Division, and was one of the most fortified American installations in Vietnam. Its strategic location allowed U.S. forces to monitor and control movements in the surrounding areas, making it a vital point for operations against Viet Cong forces. The attack on February 26, 1969. On that fateful day, approximately 80 Viet Cong commandos infiltrated the base camp's defenses by cutting through multiple layers of barbed wire. They launched a coordinated assault involving small arms fire, rocket-propelled grenades, RPGs, and satchel charges. The attack resulted in destruction of 9 Chinook helicopters, casualties, 13 Americans killed and over 50 wounded, damage to ammunition depots and other critical infrastructure. This attack not only inflicted physical damage but also had profound psychological effects on American troops stationed at Q-Chi. Immediate U.S. military response. Initial reaction. Upon realization of the attack, U.S. forces quickly initiated a series of defensive measures, alerting troops. The ground attack horn sounded, signaling all personnel to prepare for potential combat. Soldiers scrambled to their bunkers while others organized defensive positions. Search operations. Military police and infantry units began immediate searches for any remaining infiltrators within the camp. Reports indicated that some VC commandos might still be hiding among American troops. Counterattack measures. In response to the ongoing threat, artillery support. U.S. forces called in artillery fire from surrounding fire support bases to target known or suspected enemy positions. Air support. Helicopter gunships were deployed to provide aerial support and suppress enemy fire while ground troops engaged in clearing operations. Damage assessment. Following the initial chaos, U.S. commanders conducted a thorough assessment of damage. They documented destroyed equipment, including helicopters and damaged infrastructure. Casualty reports were compiled to understand the impact on troop morale and operational capabilities. Strategic adjustments. Post-attack re-evaluation of defense strategies. The attack on Q-Chi prompted a re-evaluation of existing defense strategies. Perimeter security enhancements. U.S. forces recognized vulnerabilities in their perimeter defenses. Measures such as increasing barbed wire barriers, enhancing surveillance, and improving lighting were implemented. Increased patrols. Regular patrols around the perimeter were intensified to detect any potential infiltration attempts early. Intelligence operations. The attack underscored the need for better intelligence gathering. Local intelligence networks. U.S. commanders sought to establish better relationships with local populations to gather information about VC movements and intentions. Infiltration monitoring. Enhanced monitoring systems were developed to detect any signs of infiltration or unusual activities near base perimeters. Psychological operations. Recognizing that morale was affected by the attack. Reinforcement of morale programs. U.S. military leadership initiated programs aimed at boosting troop morale through support services and communication. Media management. Efforts were made to control information released about the attack to prevent panic among troops and maintain confidence in military operations. Broader implications for U.S. military operations. Shift in military strategy. The Q-Chi attack reflected broader challenges faced by U.S. forces throughout Vietnam. Asymmetric warfare recognition. The effectiveness of VC tactics highlighted the limitations of conventional military strategies against guerrilla warfare. Operational flexibility. U.S. Commanders began advocating for more flexible operational strategies that could adapt to changing battlefield conditions. Impact on future operations. The lessons learned from Q-Chi influenced subsequent military operations. Operation Cedar Falls, launched shortly after the attack. This operation aimed to destroy VC infrastructure in surrounding areas, including extensive tunnel networks. Increased emphasis on counterinsurgency tactics. The U.S. military began focusing more on counterinsurgency tactics that emphasized intelligence gathering, local support, and community engagement. Long-term consequences. The attacks at Q-Chi contributed to a growing realization within U.S. military circles about the complexities of fighting an entrenched insurgency, Vietnamization policy. The need for a more sustainable approach led to discussions about transitioning combat responsibilities to South Vietnamese forces while gradually withdrawing American troops. Shift in public perception. As news of attacks like Q-Chi spread, public perception regarding U.S. involvement in Vietnam began to shift, leading to increased anti-war sentiment domestically. The U.S. military's response to the attacks on Q-Chi base camp in 1969 exemplifies both immediate tactical reactions and long-term strategic adjustments necessitated by evolving warfare dynamics. The lessons learned from this incident not only shaped subsequent military operations but also influenced broader policy decisions regarding American involvement in Vietnam. As we reflect on these events, it is essential to recognize how they contributed to our understanding of asymmetric warfare and counterinsurgency strategies, lessons that remain relevant in contemporary military engagements around the world today. The legacy of Q-Chi serves as a reminder of both the challenges faced by soldiers during this tumultuous period and the ongoing evolution of military strategy in response to complex battlefield realities. The Q-Chi tunnels represent one of the most remarkable feats of engineering and military strategy during the Vietnam War. These extensive underground networks were not merely a means of shelter. They were pivotal in the Viet Cong's VC strategy, contributing significantly to their ability to wage guerrilla warfare against American and South Vietnamese forces. This speech will explore the multifaceted roles that the tunnels played in the Viet Cong's victory at Q-Chi, examining their strategic importance, operational advantages, and psychological impact on both the Viet Cong and their adversaries. Historical context of the Q-Chi tunnels. Origins and development. The Q-Chi tunnels, located just outside Ho Chi Minh City, formerly Saigon, were initially constructed during the First Indochina War against French colonial forces. However, as the Vietnam War escalated in the 1960s, these tunnels expanded dramatically. By the time of the Tet Offensive in 1968, the tunnel network had grown to approximately 250 kilometers, about 155 miles, of interconnected passages. Strategic importance. The tunnels served multiple purposes. Hiding spots. They provided concealment for Viet Cong fighters during combat operations. Supply routes. The tunnels facilitated movement and storage of weapons, food, and medical supplies. Living quarters. They housed troops and served as makeshift hospitals. Command centers. Some sections were used for planning attacks and coordinating operations. This underground infrastructure allowed the Viet Cong to sustain their operations despite overwhelming U.S. military superiority. Key roles of the tunnels in Viet Cong strategy. 1. Guerrilla warfare tactics. The tunnels enabled the Viet Cong to effectively employ guerrilla warfare tactics, surprise attacks. The ability to launch surprise assaults from hidden positions allowed VC fighters to engage U.S. forces on their terms. They could strike quickly and retreat into the safety of the tunnels before American troops could respond. Ambushes. The tunnels facilitated ambush tactics, where VC fighters could emerge unexpectedly to inflict casualties on patrols or convoys. 2. Logistical support. The extensive tunnel network provided crucial logistical support, supply lines. The tunnels served as supply routes that connected various VC units with essential resources from North Vietnam, including weapons and food. Storage facilities. They acted as storage depots for munitions and supplies, allowing VC forces to remain well equipped even when faced with heavy bombardment from US forces. 3. Psychological warfare. The psychological impact of the tunnels was profound, creating fear and uncertainty. The constant threat posed by hidden entrances instilled fear among US troops. Soldiers never knew when or where an attack might come from, leading to heightened anxiety and decreased morale, undermining American confidence. The ability of VC fighters to disappear into the ground after an attack created a sense of frustration among American soldiers, who often felt they were fighting an elusive enemy. Tactical advantages offered by the tunnels. 1. Concealment from aerial surveillance. The dense jungle cover combined with underground passages provided excellent concealment. Evasion of detection. US aerial reconnaissance struggled to identify tunnel entrances or troop movements due to natural camouflage. Protection from bombing campaigns. While US forces employed extensive bombing campaigns, many sections of the tunnels remained intact due to their depth and construction methods. 2. Mobility and flexibility. The tunnel network allowed for rapid movement, quick relocation. VC units could quickly relocate between different areas without being detected by enemy forces. Control over engagements. The ability to choose when and where to engage allowed VC commanders to exploit weaknesses in American defenses effectively. 3. Defensive stronghold. The tunnels acted as a defensive stronghold. Fortified positions. The underground nature of the tunnels made them difficult for US forces to assault directly, countering superior firepower. By engaging in close-quarters combat within the tunnels, VC fighters could negate some advantages held by American troops equipped with heavier weaponry. Major operations involving Chi tunnels. Operation Crimp, 1966, one of the first major U.S. attempts to uncover and destroy the Chi tunnels was Operation Crimp, launched in January 1966. This operation involved over 8,000 U.S. troops, aiming to locate VC positions. Despite extensive bombing campaigns that turned lush jungle into a pockmarked landscape, U.S. forces struggled to find significant enemy presence due to their underground tactics. The operation highlighted both the resilience of the tunnel system and the challenges faced by conventional military strategies against guerrilla warfare. Operation Cedar Falls, 1967. Following Operation Crimp's limited success, Operation Cedar Falls was launched. This larger operation involved approximately 30,000 troops, aiming to systematically destroy VC infrastructure in Chi. Despite initial successes in uncovering some tunnel entrances, many sections remained intact due to their complex design and defensive measures employed by VC fighters. The role of tunnel rats. Introduction of tunnel rats. In response to challenges posed by the tunnel systems, specialized soldiers known as tunnel rats were deployed. These soldiers were tasked with navigating cramped and dangerous passages within the tunnels. They faced numerous hazards, including booby traps, poisonous snakes, and close-quarter combat situations. Experiences of tunnel rats. The experiences of tunnel rats were harrowing. Many tunnel rats reported feeling isolated as they ventured into unknown territory without immediate backup. Their bravery in navigating these dangerous environments led to critical discoveries about VC operations, but also resulted in significant casualties among those who undertook these missions. Long-term impact of tunnels on U.S. strategy shift in military doctrine. The experiences at Q-Chi prompted a re-evaluation of U.S. military strategies, recognizing that conventional tactics were insufficient against guerrilla warfare. Military leaders began advocating for counterinsurgency approaches that emphasized intelligence gathering and local engagement. Operations increasingly focused on winning hearts and minds, rather than solely relying on firepower. Lessons learned. The Q-Chi tunnels taught valuable lessons about asymmetric warfare. Understanding local terrain and employing unconventional tactics became crucial components of military strategy. The limitations of technology against well-entrenched insurgents highlighted the need for adaptive strategies that could address evolving battlefield conditions. The Q-Chi tunnels played a pivotal role in enabling Viet Cong's success during the Vietnam War by providing strategic advantages that allowed them to outmaneuver a technologically superior adversary. Through their use as hiding spots, supply routes, and command centers, these tunnels facilitated guerrilla warfare tactics that frustrated U.S. military efforts throughout multiple operations. As we reflect on this chapter in history, it is essential to recognize how these underground networks symbolize resilience in warfare, a testament to human ingenuity in facing overwhelming odds. The legacy of Q-Chi continues to resonate today as we explore themes of resistance, survival, and adaptation within complex conflict environments around the world. The destruction of Chinook helicopters during the Vietnam War, particularly in the context of the attacks on Q-Chi Base Camp in 1969, had profound implications for U.S. military operations. The CH-47 Chinook, a tandem rotor helicopter, was essential for troop transport, logistical support, and medical evacuation. Its loss not only affected immediate operational capabilities, but also had lasting effects on strategy, morale, and the overall conduct of the war. This speech will explore how the destruction of Chinook helicopters impacted U.S. military operations during this critical period. Background of the Chinook helicopter design and capabilities. The CH-47 Chinook is a heavy-lift helicopter that has been a workhorse for the U.S. Army since its introduction in the 1960s. Key features include tandem rotors. This design allows for greater lifting capacity and stability. Cargo capacity. The Chinook can carry up to 24,000 pounds of cargo or transport troops. Versatility. It is used for various missions, including troop transport, medical evacuation, and resupply operations. Role in Vietnam War. During the Vietnam War, Chinooks played a crucial role in troop movements, rapidly deploying soldiers to hot zones. Logistical support, supplying remote bases with essential materials. Medical evacuations, quickly transporting wounded soldiers to medical facilities. The effectiveness of the Chinook made it a vital asset for U.S. forces operating in challenging terrains. The attack on Q-Chi Base Camp. Overview of the attack on February 26, 1969. Q-Chi Base Camp was attacked by approximately 80 Viet Cong commandos. The assault involved small arms fire, rocket-propelled grenades, RPGs, and satchel charges targeting key assets within the base. Impact on helicopters. During this attack, several Chinook helicopters were destroyed or damaged. Loss of aircraft. Reports indicate that at least 9 helicopters were destroyed during the assault. Immediate operational impact. The loss of these aircraft severely limited U.S. capabilities for troop transport and logistical support in the immediate aftermath of the attack. Immediate consequences of helicopter losses. Disruption of operations. The destruction of Chinooks had immediate operational consequences, reduced troop mobility. With fewer helicopters available, U.S. forces faced challenges in moving troops quickly to areas where they were needed. Logistical challenges. Resupply missions became more difficult, leading to shortages of essential supplies at critical points. Medical evacuations. One significant impact was on medical evacuation operations, increased casualties. The inability to quickly evacuate wounded soldiers could lead to higher casualty rates. Delayed medical care. Delays in transporting injured personnel to medical facilities could result in worsened outcomes for those injured during combat. Strategic adjustments following helicopter losses. Re-evaluation of air support strategy in response to the losses at Q-Chi, increased emphasis on aerial reconnaissance. The U.S. military began prioritizing aerial reconnaissance missions to better identify enemy positions and potential threats before deploying troops. Enhanced coordination with gunships. There was a greater reliance on gunships to provide cover during troop insertions and extractions. Changes in tactical approaches. The destruction of helicopters prompted changes in tactics. Ground-based logistics. With air transport limited, U.S. forces turned to ground-based logistics to supply operations, which often proved slower and less efficient. Smaller unit operations. Commanders began deploying smaller units that could operate independently without relying heavily on helicopter support. Psychological impact on U.S. forces. Morale issues. The loss of Chinook helicopters had psychological effects on American troops. Fear and anxiety. The destruction highlighted vulnerabilities in U.S. operations, leading to increased fear among soldiers regarding their safety during air transport. Erosion of confidence. Continuous losses contributed to an erosion of confidence in air support capabilities among ground troops. Impact on Viet Cong perception. Conversely, the destruction served as a morale booster for Viet Cong forces. Psychological victory. Successfully targeting U.S. aircraft demonstrated their capability to inflict damage on American forces, bolstering VC morale. Increased support from local populations. Victories against a technologically superior enemy helped galvanize local support for Viet Cong efforts. Long-term implications for U.S. military operations. Shift towards counterinsurgency tactics. The experiences at Q-Chi influenced broader military strategies. Adoption of counterinsurgency doctrine. The need for more effective counterinsurgency tactics became apparent as conventional strategies proved less effective against guerrilla warfare.